Hi guys, we are looking at chapter 4. We are moving on quite fast after this because we have quite a few weeks left. Uh, we will skip all the what they call it the tutorials, and I will be giving lectures. So if you look at the videos, if you have any issues, you should be able to formulate questions, and we will to discuss it in uh, the session of lecture. So come tutorial. Okay, we will start with this area. I want you to look for yourself this link. When it comes to the history of trade union, we have England, Malaysia position, and what if there is no trade union, and also examples with respect to trade union actions. We'll see picketing and so on. So enjoy your videos. We'll be looking at the history of trade union movement in Malaysia and the rights and liabilities of trade unions with respect to pro protection of the employee. Uh, we look at the history of trade union itself. Before the World War, there is no movement of trade union that exists. Uh, there are some, but they are separated. They didn't have a union yet, you know. This actually developed in Europe and the Western countries. The labor movement began to crystallize in these countries only at the end of the war. Yeah, everyone was busy concentrating on the war. Then later on, they decided that enough is enough. They have to be forming groups in order to protect themselves, which is actually mainly the post-war period. Uh, if you look at this slide, the whole world, if you were to put in numbers of organized workers, they were about 10 million organized workers back then after the war. So they organized into unions of all kinds of political shades. And then sometimes they, in England, you have Labour Party, yeah, which is if you look into the Labour Party, that goes way before, you know. Uh, so the beginning of what they call it, the revolutionary syndicalism. Sorry. So the syndicates, yeah, where they try to formulate unions, yeah, the methods where workers in a capitalist society, in order for them to gain control of the economy and control the influence of the broader society. So they form a union in order for them to be able to influence the government and influence the society to back them up with the element of injustice that occurs within the workplace. Right. Here, this slide talks about industrial unionism is a labor organization organizing methods through which all workers in the same industry are organized. So if you look at the trade union, obviously the members are going to be the same members. If you're talking about white collar, they are for white collars union, and blue collar unions for blue collar workers. These workers, if you are talking about blue workers, they must represent certain sectors because there must be some kind of similarities within the industry's members workers. Yeah, otherwise, if you have workers that work in another environment or another industry, formulating a group of workers, then the interest of the union is going to be conflicting. Some industrial workers of another nature, say for example, manufacturing and hospitality, they are two different organization or different areas of industry. So if the trade union is to be able to cater for everyone, it's quite difficult. So therefore, the members must be regarding the people who are working in one industry, and in order for them to gain more leverage in bargaining and in strike situation. Because if you to strike conduct a strike, if you have many industries in your union, that is not going to be coordinated, you know, because it does not give impact that is needed. Okay, uh, and also to try to abolish wage system. Regarding wage system is something that is considered as to them slavery. However, that is the best system that we have so far, and we have been applying that system. But somehow or other, it's moving to another direction where uh, the point is to be able to get the employees to share the profit of the company. Yeah. Okay. We are going to look at the trade union movement and registration. However, I want you to read on your own with regards to the development after World War II. We have a position in the international trade unions and how they split into two. One is being influenced by the capitalists, and the other one is being influenced by socialists. And we have the World Trade of sorry, World Federation of Trade Unions and International Federation of Trade Union. Moving on, and this is where I mentioned about the communist influence, and we want to be able to uh, look at the history of our trade union. You have ITUC in Malaysia. What is ITUC? International Trade Union Confederation, is coming back to the division that happens earlier on. As I mentioned about communism influence. The number of ITUC representative is 176 million workers throughout 325 organizations over 161 countries, and Malaysia is one of the members. Yeah, MTUC. I think you have heard about Malaysian Trade Union Congress. Uh, that is the history with respect to the trade union. Now, better for resources here also in regards to the position of trade union struggle between the employer and employee. Yeah, we have the here in Malaysia we have the struggle over the Japanese occupation when the Japanese took over the countries, and then we have the Malayan Communist Party influence over the labor movement in Malaysia. Because uh, you look at the communist movement, they would favor the fights or the struggles of the workers. You know, that is their aim to achieve justice. Yeah. Okay. Moving on. You read about what happens to the trade union progress, yeah, in Malaysia until you look at this video. I don't know whether it is available or not, but if you look at this site number 247, you should be able to see the movie, not see the video. Yeah? Video, you should be able to compress the history of trade union movement in Malaysia. Now, what we need to do is to look at the rights and liabilities of trade union. This is more, the first part is more towards history. The second part is more concerning about the legal provision that is provided under the trade unions in Malaysia. So we are looking at the rights and Liabilities of trade union. First, we have to look at the fundamental liberties provided under our federal constitution. Obviously, in our federal constitution, it is already stated the rights of the citizen to be able to belong to any of their choice, yeah, right to assembly and association in Article 10, and then right of freedom of movement, you know, and then right to equality in terms of to be able to have someone to represent themselves, to in this case trade union, then protection against yeah, this might not be relevant, but number six, article 6, slavery, forced labor, this is something that the fundamental liberties that is guaranteed in our federal constitution. And any article 5, yeah, so we have article 5 relevant to trade union, 6, 8, 9, and then 10, yeah, and then 12, because the rights to education also is one of the main element that is being promoted by trade unions. Yeah, basically, the trade union elements or concept is entrenched uh, in our federal constitution. So in this slide, we can see that the trade union actually plays a very big role in our industrial relation, because without the participation of trade union in our country, then the injustice that occurs within the workforce or work environment is 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 going to be drastically increased, yeah? Whereby obviously people who doesn't have money, they are unable to seek justice. With the trade union, with the collection of money, contribution of money every month, the union would be having sufficient amount of money for them to engage lawyers in order for them to educate the employees of their rights and things like that. So advantages of trade union, where it is to the workers, obviously to protect them from the oppression of the employer, and then advantages to employers also, because when you have a union, it is easy for you to, as an employer, it is easy for you to identify or discuss or negotiate with the union with respect to the benefits or items of uh, items of being asked, rights that is being asked by the employees. You just talk to one person rather than you talk to each employees. Okay, advantages to the society, obviously, for the society is able to have more you know side benefits, yeah, to the society, because if the relationship between employer and employee is is a happy one, obviously it produces a good environment for production to to increase, then therefore prices might go down, and services that is received much better, because they are harmoniously conducting relationship with one another. Yeah. Yeah, okay. You know what happened to a family where the parents are fighting towards one another. It is not a happy family. So the same thing here. So to detail it out, advantages to workers, here there are several. One is to promote unity, yeah, between employers and employees, between employees and employees. Ensure improvement of work condition and better welfare facility. You can ask the facilities provided by the employer to be increased. If the work environment doesn't have aircon, you can ask for aircons to be installed. you know an advantage to the employer. And then spirit of self-reliance and self-respect. If you're working in an environment that you feel safe, you are respected, you feel happy and you perform much better than not getting respect or self-reliance. You are not sure with yourself and things like that. Change in the employer's attitude. Yeah. Uh, so you can force the employer to behave in a certain manner. If you are fighting on your own, obviously the employer is not going to change. But if you have the trade union behind you, or doing something for your own benefit, the employer attitude will change and conform to what you want them to be. And then you have uniform wages. If we don't have union, uh, you will see people who would receive different wages from one person to another. So by having trade union, wages can be applied in a uniform manner. And then advantages to employers and advantages to society, which I already mentioned. Let's look at the advantages to employers. Dispute can be avoided and resolved amicably, meaning there would be continuous workflow for the employer, so the employer don't have to worry about whether disruption of the manpower that they have, because if people are unable to perform as what they already promised, it is going to be a problem for the employer, yeah, because they have to meet output in terms of contract, in terms of sales and things like that. So industrial peace, whereby a condition of respect and loyalty of the employees towards the employer, and as employers, they don't have to worry about employees running away if things goes haywire within the company, right? So the tendency is that employees wants to run away and find another job. So here we see industrial peace, where everyone is stable and be able to gain leverage from the peace. And then framing healthy labor policies by reducing chance of further dispute in the future, by doing negotiation with trade union, by having agreement signed with the trade union. Obviously it's going to be advantageous to employers. And advantages to societies, where they can actually gain sympathy from the general public in times of crisis. As a group, it's not individual. People would rather see a group of people to be sympathize on for a group of people rather than an individual. And then we have the ability to propose to the government to prepare or to enact better policies in order for them to have laws to protect and develop a labor force in our society towards a better way. Then is something that the government involvement, which is good for the whole society. Then good relationship means good productivity to the country. Yeah, so the country gain in terms of peace between employee and employer. And then cooperation is easier for the implementation of society change policies by government. So the government can come up with certain policies. If everything is peaceful, then obviously the government can enhance the relationship by coming up with new policies that is taking the level of relationship to another better status. Trade union or union means the association or combination of workmen or employers. I highlighted workmen, meaning from the perspective of Industrial Relation Act, where it recognized the union involvement, and obviously also for union for employers. So employers also have their own union that they can formulate. So this is uh, for workmen, in the Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak. And if the case may be, employers employing workmen in also Peninsular Malaysia, Sabah and Sarawak. So as the workman definition means any person including apprentice employed by the employer under contract of employment to work for hire, reward or for the purpose of any proceedings. So in relation to trade dispute includes any person who has been dismissed, discharged or retrenched in connection with or as a consequence of that dispute, or whose dismissal, discharge, or retrenchment has led to that dispute. Meaning, it encompasses every possible status of a worker. You know, uh, everyone that can be identified as a person belonging to the definition of workman would be able to be you know to be linked to or to be able to register as a member of the trade union. Section 8 Employment Act says nothing in the contract of employment shall restrict the participation of activities of employee to register themselves with a trade union. Then we have rights of trade unions under Section 4 IRA, and Section 4.1 here states that uh, no person shall interfere with or to restrain or to coerce any workman or employer in this case to exercise the right to form, or to assist in the formation or to join the trade union or to participate. So there's 4 areas. One is to stop from a person being a member. Second, to form. Third is to join, and fourth is to participate. So that is clear under the provision of Industrial Relation Act. So if you look at this, you have the Persekutuan example I'm giving here. Persekutuan Majikan Malaysia. This is the Employers Trade Union Federation. So rights of trade union under Section 4.2 IRA, no trade union of workmen and trade union of employers shall interfere with one another in terms of its establishment, functioning, or administration. So they have trade union of employee and trade union of employer cannot interfere with which with each other transaction or uh, functioning. Yeah, and that is provided under the protection of the law. Next, we have the rights of trade unions under Section 4, Subsection 3 IRA, where no employers or trade union of employers and no person acting or on behalf of the employers, it might be you because you are the what they call it, legal advisor, or such trade union shall support any trade union of workmen by financial or other means. Yeah. So here the law is trying to restrict the involvement of the employer towards the trade union of employee. It has to maintain independent. Yeah. Why? If you allow the employer to influence the trade union of employee by having some financial support and so on, that is destroying the position of the trade union to be independent, and they are to fight for the benefit of the employee. Yeah? So that there is no influence of the employer towards the employees trade union. That is guaranteed by. Next, we see the provision of employers and their trade unions in respect to certain acts. Section 5, subsection 1, IRA stated that no employer or trade union of employers and no person acting on behalf of the employer or such trade union shall A. Impose any condition in a contract of employment seeking to restrain the right of a person to become a member of a trade union, meaning prior to the engagement of a person from the contract of service, therefore, in the contract itself, there should not be any statement or any clause that amounts to restraining a person, yeah, the employee from becoming a member of a trade union. So that is guaranteed because Section 5 and Section 4, Section 3, all these are in line with the provision of the fundamental liberties of our fundamental rights, yeah, under the what they call it, our federal constitution. B. Either to refuse to employ any person on the ground that he is or he is not a member of the or an officer of the trade union. So that is also a condition that is prevented by the law from the employer to refuse to employ any person based on whether he used to be the trade member union, or maybe he is a trade member or not trade member union of a officer of certain kinds, that in order to accept a person, you have to accept without some elements, or some uh, what do you call it, some kind of ill intention, or you want to prevent somebody from exercising their rights. That is a guarantee. Okay, Section 5(1)(c) states that the employer is not to discriminate against any person in regards to employment, or to promote, or to any condition of employment in terms of working condition on the ground that he is or he is not a member of a trade union. So that is another provision that is in line with the federal constitution. Then you see this dismiss. You cannot dismiss or threaten to dismiss any person based on the situation that he is holding a position that is going to be prejudiced, where he propose to become or seek to persuade any person to become a member or officer of the union, or he is to participate in the promotion or formation of activities in a trade union. So you cannot, as an employer, if you are the legal advisor of that company later on, you are not to restrict anyone to become a member of a trade union. If you were to do that, obviously you are going against the provision of the Act. And then we have to look at the provision E, to induce. You are not to induce anyone or to refrain from becoming a member of a trade union. Induce means you give some kind of promotion, you give some kind of monetary value. It cannot be in a sense that you give some advantages. So kalau you tak belongs to a union, that good, we give you extra money. Provided that you promise not to become a member, then I put it in the clause of the employment contract. No, it cannot be. Cannot in a position to manipulate the situation by giving certain advantages and so on. Okay, if you look at part 4 of the Trade Union Act, this is another act directly concerning the Trade Union Act. You can see the right and liabilities of trade union under section 20 to 25A. The right to the disabilities of unregistered union, meaning if you are unregistered, therefore you cannot take action against the company in terms of going on strike, and things like that. Immunity from civil suit in certain cases. Here you cannot be immune from action. Yeah, if you are a registered one, then you can be immune to the civil suit because, say for example, if you conducted strike, yeah, if you are not registered or recognized, then therefore you can be taken action against. If you are registered, then you can get your immunity. And then liability in torts, liability in contract, So the provision of the law is very clear. What would be your liabilities in terms of torts, in terms of contract, and then object in restraining of trade, not to be considered as lawful in case of registered. So the key word here is to get the union registered. And once you are registered, then you will be able to be protected by the law. Okay, and then we have some provision of section 25 against what can be done by the union in terms of whether they can conduct strikes, how it comes about, and whether what is in the position where the employer conduct lockouts. Yeah, they lock the gates of the company. You are unable to come in to work. Yeah. So if they were to conduct lockouts, you are unable to come to work. Therefore, you are not getting your salary. So that what is the position of the law? We will look into that. Section 20, for example, to look at each provision. A trade union shall not enjoy any of the rights, immunities, or privileges of a registered trade union unless it is registered. It is very clear. You are going to get the benefits or protection only when you are registered. If you are not, then you are unable to claim for benefits, protection of the law. Immunity from civil suit in section 21 stated that no suit or any other legal proceeding shall be maintained in a civil court against any registered trade union. Yeah? So, or any officers or members, because we have officers of the trade union doing their job to protect the members, employees, so they are going to be protected by the law because they are fighting on behalf of their members. Here, in furtherance of a trade dispute to which a member of the trade union is a party, on the grounds only that such act includes some other person to break a contract of employment. So here, it gives the authority of the trade union to actively act on behalf of their members. Okay, and the law will be there to protect them. Section 24, the object of a registered trade union shall not, by reasons only that they are restrained of trade, to be deemed to be unlawful, so as to render any member of the trade union liable to criminal prosecution. So here, whereby uh, action towards the trade union, if they are not registered, can go to the extent of criminal action, prosecution. Yeah, because it's against the law to have a trade union to act on behalf of their members. If they are not registered, then it is considered as illegal. 25 mentions that trade union may sue or be sued. It acts as an independent person, a legal person, where once it is registered and recognized by the company and obviously able to register with a trade union under industrial relation or court. So if they are registered and recognized, then therefore they can take action by suing people, or they themselves can be sued, because obviously a person, if they can sue, obviously they can also be sued. Yeah? If we look at trade union definition, here is about regulation with relations to a relationship between workmen and employers for the purpose of good. This is just a definition. It is mainly to promote good industrial relation between workmen and employers. Yeah. So therefore, the solution as in relation to the benefit that I already mentioned earlier on, the three advantages of trade union. Mm, okay, these are the things that they can do. They can buy things, they sell things, they invest, and so on. Okay, section 54, they are allowed to collect money, and as a trade union, obviously they have to survive, and they are to collect from their members sum of amount in order for them to run, in order for them to build their fund, in order for them to, why they have to build fund, because they will, if they were to take action against the employer by engaging lawyers, obviously you have to pay lawyers, right? uh, and then if they were to conduct strike, if they were to have millions under their bank account, obviously the employees, if they don't have to go to work, they have to earn an income. The union is compensating for the salary that they are supposed to receive for that day or the number of days that they go on strike. Okay, we have here Section 29 Trade Union Act. Obviously, the trade union, in order for them to run their activities as a union, they can actually employ and pay a secretary, treasurer, and other person in order for them, these people to do their job. Yeah? So, as a company, they should have the staff in order for them to run the company. The same goes for the trade union. They have the people that needs to be employed in order for these people to run the trade union. Yeah, collection in terms of treasurer, in terms of how much money to be collected, in terms of the meeting that needs to be conducted, in terms of the education program and so on. These are the things that is very, very important for the trade union to function. Section 34, Trade Union, notice in writing shall be given to the Director General for every change of name and every alteration that is to be made must be given to the Director General. Yeah? So we have change of name, secretary, and the members, registered trade union changing its name. All things have to be informed to the Director General of Industrial Relation or Labor. Yeah? So it is important for the movement of this trade union being identified by the Director Generals. Next, we have Section 33, Trade Union Act, transfer its engagement to any other trade union whose members are employed within similar trades, occupation or industries which may undertake to fulfill those engagements. So no transfers under this section shall prejudice any rights of creditors of trade union which a party is therefore linked to it. Yeah. So here giving the trade union ability for them to transfer its engagement with any other trade union, meaning they can have what they call it, a relationship, yeah, communication, in terms of communication relationship with other trade union. This is a right guaranteed under Trade Unions Act. Then we have Section 72, two or more registered trade union in Malaysia whose members are employed in similar trade, occupation, and industry. They can form or create a federation of trade union. Okay, so you have trade union A, trade union B, trade union C. Since they are in one industry, they can have a federation of trade union. So if trade union A for company A is 2000, then B 2000, C 2000, company B, company C. So now confederation, what they call it, a group, federation of trade union. Now it has 6,000 members. So it makes them stronger. However, it must be informed to the Director General and needs to be approved. Section 76A Trade Union Act states that trade union registered under the Act shall affiliate with or be a member of any consultative consultative or similar body, meaning they are able to be in line with other trade unions, meaning locally or internationally. So, as already mentioned, that is the right for them to associate themselves, to be able to consult uh, trade unions from international level, as I already mentioned in the earlier parts. Yeah, we have the MTUC here that represent trade unions in Malaysia. Okay, that's the end of chapter 4. We'll be soon looking at the chapter 5, which is actually the recognition and registration of trade union. Because this is important. Without being able to register yourself and without being recognized by the company that you are trying to represent, obviously you cannot enforce all the provision or rights, that is given to a trade union. Okay, all right.